Good morning, colleagues. Please take your seats. I'd like to start our work for today. Greetings, colleagues. In this session, we will continue our consideration of conference room papers and LDocs. I'd like to say that we'll begin with the CRPs 10 and 11. But before we begin, today is International Youth Day. I would like to invite the International Global Youth Biodiversity Network, our friends, to take the floor. We know time is of the essence for our session, and so I will ask GYBN to limit their announcement to 1 minute. Wow. Youth, you have the floor.
Thank you, Chair. The Global Youth Biodiversity Network, bringing the voices of diverse youth around the world to this space, is happy to have the opportunity to take the floor to greet everyone with a happy International Youth Day. This theme of this year's Youth Day is different contexts, common aspirations. This resonates with our network's own experience as young people with diverse backgrounds and identities that remain strongly connected by our hope for a more just and equitable future in harmony with nature. This aspiration is rooted in our values and principles of collective well-being, intergenerational equity, human rights, and social ecological justice. We remind all parties that all the decisions made here will only mean something if they translate into real, positive change to the everyday lives of the people on the ground. Those who are doing so much for biodiversity yet continue to be unrecognized, made invisible, and disproportionately impacted by the same sectors that also destroy biodiversity. Decisions here must increase our moral ambition, close the justice gap, and bring real change for all life on Earth and future generations. Finally, on this occasion, we also thank everyone who has supported the Global Youth Biodiversity Network through the years since being founded in 2010, which has come in many forms through support for our capacity building programs, meaningful engagement with our national and regional chapters, constructive engagement in CBD negotiation, trust-based funding, equal partnerships, and many more. There have been invaluable contributions to our mission of creating transformative impact towards the future we aspire to. Thank you, Chair, and happy International Youth Day to all.
Happy International Youth Day to you all. And thank you for reminding us that while youth and all generations live in different contexts, they can have common aspirations. I wish everyone to join the celebration of the International Youth Day. So let us consider CRP 10 on Item 5, DSI. Before we begin to consider CRP 10, I would like to invite the co-chairs of the contact group to report on their work. Ms. Neka Nicholas from Antigua and Barbuda, you have the floor.
Madam Chair, distinguished delegates, it is my honor to report back on the work of the contact group on Item 5 on digital sequence information on genetic resources on behalf of my co-chair and I, Ida Helmark of Norway. The contact group met 3 times on Thursday, 6th August, a shorter contact group on the 7th of August, and our final one on the 10th of August. The contact group was tasked with 3 work streams on DSI at SBI, namely 1, potential additional modalities for the Cali Fund, in particular to take a product or service-based calculation of entity contributions. 2, possible tools or models to increase the transparency and accountability of DSI. And 3, the review methodology of the efficiency of the multilateral mechanism including the Cali Fund, due at COP18. In the first contact group, my co-chair and I presented areas of possible convergence and apparent divergence following what was heard in statements and in plenary. Based on the discussion of that first contact group, we prepared our first non-paper with the support of the Secretariat. Of the 3 topics we were mandated to work on, the one on additional modalities showed the most divergence. The second and third contact groups reviewed the non-paper and revised non-paper. For the first topic on potential additional modalities for the Cali Fund, my co-chair and I proposed a new text with 2 options, and we hope to refine them during the contact group. However, we were not able to reach consensus during our allocated time, so we have bracketed the options and we will resume our negotiations at COP. For the second topic on possible tools or models to increase the transparency and accountability of DSI in databases, we were able to complete the section adding brackets where there were divergences and not enough time to find compromises. There was general consensus on what to do, but not on how to do it. Regarding the third topic, in the first meeting, some comments and proposals were made to work on document CBD/SBI/7/5/add2, the review methodology. My co-chair and I proposed to convene a Friends of the Co-Chairs meeting, and we would like to thank Melissa Cotterill of Australia and Mpatso Kalemba of Malawi for accepting to skillfully facilitate 2 Friends of the Co-Chairs meetings on Sunday and Monday. The Friends group completed the review on the table of the elements of the review methodology with a few brackets, but ran out of time to discuss the conceptual framework, approach, and governance of the methodology. As such, the co-facilitators, with agreement in their group, requested the Secretariat's support to organize an informal session between SBI and COP to discuss the remainder of the methodology. The Secretariat will be assisting Melissa Cotterill and Mpatso Kalemba for the scheduling and communication. It was agreed that the session will not yield any product and any text proposal or consensus text will need to be proposed again in the formal setting of the COP. In addition, in the contact group, some parties proposed texts on topics that were outside of the mandate of the contact group as given by the chair, and which related to the operational documents of the Cali Fund, in particular, but not limited to its Memorandum of Understanding. As a compromise during the contact group, my co-chair and I requested that the Secretariat facilitate a webinar between SBI and the COP, where the Cali Fund, UN partners, and the administrative agent, the multi-partner trust fund, could intervene, share their experience, explain the documents that were developed for the creation of the partnership, and answer procedural questions. We also created a closed Friends group to facilitate textual changes for the SBI recommendation on this. This was kindly led by Mr. Patrick Luna of Brazil, and I would like to welcome him to the floor to explain the outcome of the small group session held yesterday on the 10th of August. If you indulge me, Madam Co-Chair, I would request to invite Mr. Patrick Luna to the floor. Thank you so much, Madam Chair.
Yes, thank you very much, Ms. Naka-Nichols. And of course, thank you and your co-chair for your hard work. So please give the microphone to Brazil to hear the result from the work of the small group that met yesterday. Brazil, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Good morning, colleagues. As mentioned by the co-chair of the contact group on DSI, I was tasked with facilitating a small group discussion on a set of proposals concerning the Memorandum of Understanding between the Secretariat and the MPTFO regarding the operational aspects of the Cali Fund. While the issue was not initially envisaged for discussion here in Nairobi, delegations were of the view that it warranted our consideration. The small group met yesterday over lunch, bringing together delegates from Armenia, Brazil, Egypt, the European Union, India, Japan, Jordan, Namibia, the Russian Federation, South Africa, Switzerland, and the United Kingdom. The discussion lasted more than 2 hours, reflecting both the commitment of delegations to addressing this issue and the breadth of views expressed. The group was able to draft 2 preambular and 3 operative paragraphs, all pertaining to the SBI draft decision itself. However, it was decided to retain all paragraphs in brackets, as some divergences remained. The proposed paragraphs were immediately circulated by email to delegations participating in the small group. As the group did not have an opportunity to report back to the contact group, the paragraphs were not incorporated into CRP 10. For the sake of transparency, I would like therefore to submit them orally to the plenary for its consideration. To be clear, these paragraphs would replace OPs 1, 2, 2 alt, and 2 alt bis, currently in brackets in CRP 10. While the Secretariat already has the text, allow me, Madam Chair, to read them slowly for the benefit of all delegations, including through interpretation. PP1, recalling the sovereign rights of states over their natural resources. PP2, also recalling Decision 15.9 and Decision 16.2. In particular, paragraphs 23 and 28 of the annex to Decision 16.2, by which the fund is to be administered in line with the decisions of the COP and the multilateral mechanism, including the Global Fund, is to operate under the authority of the guidance of and be accountable to the COP, and paragraph 28 and enclosure 4 to the annex of Decision 16.2, by which the steering committee was established by the COP with a specified composition and with a chair to be designated from among the members of representing parties. And then OP0 notes with concern that the standard memorandum of understanding for the Kali Fund for the fair and equitable sharing of benefits arising from the use of DSI on genetic resources using pass-through fund management between participating UN organizations, UNEP, UNDP, and the Secretariat of this convention, and the MPTFO, regarding to the operational aspects of the Kali Fund for the fair, equitable sharing of benefits arising from the use of DSI on genetic resources, together with annexes, was concluded and signed on the 25th of February 2025 prior to its consideration by the COP. And then, Madam Chair, OP0 bis in a section entitled Recommendations for the Executive Secretary requests the Executive Secretary to facilitate an online discussion on the issue referred to in paragraph 0 above with the MPTFO, the UN partners, and the steering committee of the MLM, including the Kali Fund, and will be open to all, and to make relevant documents, presentations, and the recording of this meeting available in the Convention on Biological Diversity website. Lastly, Madam Chair, OP0 ter in the section Recommendations to the COP, it would read, recommends that at its 17th meeting, the COP considers possible appropriate action and way forward regarding the Memorandum of Understanding and its annexes, as well as all related governance, administrative, and operational documents and arrangements, including those developed or agreed upon by the steering committee under the item on digital sequence information on genetic resources. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you very much, Brazil. Colleagues, CRP 10 was prepared following 58 submissions in plenary, and then the contact group work on a revised non-paper complemented with input from the Friends of the Co-Chair meetings, as just presented. As we know, this is a quickly developing topic with dense agenda items both here and at the upcoming COP. Although there were several areas of convergence, there are still many areas of possible divergence and with bracketed text, as pointed out by our co-chair. On the topic of the review methodology of effectiveness of the multilateral mechanism for the fair and equitable sharing of benefits from the use of digital sequence information on genetic resources, including the Kali Fund found in document CBD/SBI-7/5-2, parties, as we heard, wanted to review the content of the methodology. As such, it is now included in an annex to the CRP 10. As there was a contact group for this item, I would like to take this CRP as a whole, with the understanding that the text proposed by the small group will be added to the LDoc, and we will consider it during the LDoc consideration. I propose this for the benefit of all delegations present, so that would then they would then be able to read it in the LDoc that will be posted by the end of the present session. So, colleagues, could we approve the CRP as a whole and resume consideration of the relevant new additions during our consideration of the LDoc during the afternoon plenary? I see Australia. Australia, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam Co-Chair. And this is certainly not to not agree with your proposal to discuss this further in the LDoc. I did, however, want to make a short statement with regard to the new text. L document processes are not usually allowed for extensive discussion on text. The text proposed is primarily for the subsidiary body recommendations. Standard procedure is that if it cannot be agreed as an SBI recommendation, then it will be removed from the document, and that is usually at the CRP stage. So we would just like it noted that this is out of normal procedures and that we will take the floor to discuss this substantial new text. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Australia. I've checked with the Secretariat about this proposal, but of course I ask the Secretariat to please enlighten us on the point made by Australia right now. Thank you very much, Australia. We have consulted here. I will give the floor to Egypt and then I will resume. Egypt, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just to note that while we were in the Friends of the Chair, we have been presented with a modified version from the one that is included in the CRP. We looked at a version that included the text amendment based on the initial submission from parties. But right now we found that this is not the version that we discussed in the Friends of the Chair. I think what was included is a wrong version, because a lot of things that has been introduced as a result of the initial submission of parties are not reflected here while they were presented to the Friends of the contact group. Thank you, Madam.
Thank you very much, Egypt. I will ask the Secretariat to answer to your question. Secretariat, you have the floor.
Thank you very much, Chair. So in the Friends group on the review methodology, which considered from the add to text, the group discussed the tables of elements of the review, table 1 and table 2, but not the text of the framework, the approach, and the governance of the methodology due to a lack of time. So the co-facilitators, in agreement with the group that was there, requested the Secretariat to organize an informal online discussion to discuss the text that was not taken up in the Friends group. It was agreed that this online discussion would yield no product. It was just a space to build a sort of common understanding of each other's views and issues, and that the discussion would happen at COP itself and be more efficient as a result. What we did then was make an annex in the CRP that included the updated tables as discussed in the Friends, and then we put the text as it is in add 2 currently because it has not been taken up. Now, in the Friends group, we had projected text that included some text proposals from plenary statements from various parties. We did not put them in the CRP because they had not been discussed at all. We agreed that we would circulate the text with the proposed changes ahead of the online informal discussion. This was taken up in the Friends group. The way that the Secretariat will do this, at the request of the co-facilitators, is to have an event that will be announced through a notification and will have a registration. And those who register for the event will get an email with the text, with the proposed changes in plenary and track changes in order to facilitate this informal online discussion. Thank you.
Yes, I will give the floor to El Salvador. El Salvador, you have the floor. Okay, Egypt. Egypt, you have the floor.
It's just this way, submission by parties that was received during these meetings and were included in the version that was projected to the friends of the co-chair. And we had some discussions that are related to it are not reflected and will never be reflected as a result of that. Also, they were submitted initially during the initial phase, and we had a look on them during the friends of the chair. So this worries me. It means that those things will be removed as if they were never submitted and never dealt with.
Yes, thank you very much, Egypt. Let me consult. Okay, colleagues, I see that there are more problems with the CRP than I have anticipated, so I'd like to make a proposal. Instead of a null document, and I understand the point raised by Australia, of course, my proposal was for the benefit of the whole of the delegation so that everybody could see the text since this is a long text. But I do take your point into consideration, and I have consulted with our legal officer, and then taking into consideration also what has been raised by Egypt, I would like to make another proposal. So we'll take on board, and I do realize that this was apparently the decision of the contact group to move forward in this way, but as we have stated yesterday, it would be much better for discussions during COP that all the text is reflected in the document. So what I would like to propose, if you all agree, is that we will have a review of the CRP, a Rev 1 of the CRP, and we'll take on board the text that was presented during the discussions of the Friends of the Chair, and of course also in the small group, we will publish it by the end of the session, and we will resume the consideration still in the CRP phase in the plenary this afternoon. Is that agreeable to you all? Switzerland, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I think the general approach is agreeable to us, but just that we are clear on what will be contained in this revised CRP regarding the text of the small group. As you've heard from the report back from this group, there was no agreement on this text yet. So we just want to be reassured that this text will be added to the document, but the other options that we still have will still be there.
Of
Thank you very much.
Of course, Switzerland and the text will be bracketed, but it will be reflected in the document. That's my proposal. And also, bear with me, we probably will not be able to have it in the 6 languages. So we'll endeavor to do so, but perhaps we will not have a CRP with these additions in the 6 languages, delegates. Can we proceed like this? Okay, thank you. Thank you very much for collaboration, and thank you, Australia and Egypt, for your inputs. And with that, we park the consideration of the CRP, waiting for the new version. And I would like to go then to CRP 11 on agenda item 3, planning, monitoring, reporting, and review, the global review of collective progress in the implementation of the Kunming-Montreal Global Biodiversity Framework. I wait a minute so that we can change themes. Okay, colleagues, could you please take your seats? We will now take up CRP 11 on item 3. I will give the floor to the co-chairs to report back, but before that, the Secretariat has to make some corrections. Secretariat, you have the floor.
So in the very first preambular paragraph of the SBI part of the recommendation, it starts with noting the inputs provided by SEPSTA in the recommendation 28.1, this should be of the subsidiary body on scientific, technical, and technological advice. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Secretariat. I think that everybody got that. So, as you know, the CRP was developed by the contact group on item 3, and I would like to invite the co-chairs of the contact group to report on their work. Ms. Sanne Kroot from the Netherlands, you have the floor.
Thank you, Chair, and good morning, colleagues. My co-chair, Sivendra Michael from Fiji, and I are very pleased to report back from the contact groups on the global review of implementation. The contact group has met twice, or 3 times actually, since the last time we reported to plenary. We also established a Friends of the Chair group to consider Section B of the document regarding planning, monitoring, reporting, and the review mechanism. This was co-chaired by Sabine Singh from Norway and Diogo Machado Gonçalves from Brazil, over 3 sessions of the Friends of the Chair. My co-chair and I would like to thank Norway and Brazil for their very effective chairing in this Friends of the Chair. Based on our discussion during the first meeting of the contact group, we prepared a non-paper that we have extensively discussed during several contact groups. Thanks to the very constructive spirit of the delegates, we are very pleased to report that we have considered the entirety of the document. While some brackets still remain, and they will need to be resolved at COP, we do believe that we have made great progress and made as much progress as we could. Madam Chair, given how extensively we have reviewed the document over this week, we would strongly suggest not to reopen the document in plenary. We think we're unlikely to be able to make more progress than we have already made during the contact groups. So we are confident that with the continued constructive spirit and the energy that we have been able to resolve outstanding issues in the contact groups, that we will also bring this energy to COP17 and that we will be able to finalize this agenda item with a successful outcome. In closing, Madam Chair, my co-chair and I would like to thank all delegates for their great engagement, their constructive approach, and the cooperation and the trust they have placed in us. And also a very big thanks for their active participation in our energizers during the late night contact groups. It has been a great honor for my co-chair and I to serve you, so I thank you all, and we're looking forward to adopting the CRP. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Ms. Kroot, and of course your co-chair, Mr. Brenda Michael, and of course thank you for the energy. It's always good to have such a good energy. And as you have proposed, I would like to ask this plenary if we could consider this CRP as a whole. Colleagues, can we approve the CRP as a whole? I see no objection, so CRP 11 is approved. Congrats. Thank you very much, and we will produce an L document and resume this consideration for the L document. I would like now to move to CRP 12 on agenda item 4B, financial mechanism. Let's have a minute to change teams. Thank you. Thank you very much, colleagues. Thank you. So I would like now to ask the Secretariat to make some editorial corrections on our CRP. Secretariat, you have the floor.
Thank you, Chair. On CRP 12, paragraph 3, there should be a closing bracket at the end of paragraph 3. And also on fourth line, there's a double bracket, a closing bracket, should be only one. And another correction is on page, this is page what? Page 3, as a footnote, footnote 7. This was initially in the main text was in brackets. When we migrated into footnoting, the bracket was disappeared. Probably is a mistake of our side. There should be a bracket. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Secretariat. I think that we all grasped your editorial amendments. And as you know, the CRP was developed by the contact group on item 4B. I would like to invite the co-chairs of the contact group to report on their work. So, China, Ms. Ye Wang, from China, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam Co-Chair. Thank you, Madam Chair, and good morning, dear colleagues. My co-chair, Inka from Germany, and I are pleased to report back on the work done by the contact group on item 4B, the financial mechanism. The contact group met 4 times, 8.5 hours in total, over the course of SBI-7. At its first meeting, the contact group agreed to use requests for guidance directed to the Global Environment Facility and discussed extensively on the honor list of contributors to the JAF9 replenishment, including developing countries' contributors. The second meeting found solutions to brackets in paragraph 3 to 5 and reviewed specific guidance related to governance, integrated programming, and fostering private sector investment and financial flows. At the third meeting, the group completed work on paragraph 9A to 9F and annex, focusing on resource allocation, access modalities, transaction costs, and direct access for indigenous peoples and local communities. The group also assessed the status of the remaining paragraphs. During its fourth and final meeting, the group undertook an exercise of uptaking additions and edits for the remaining paragraphs and continued to complete its review of original paragraph 9. We thank the great efforts and contribution from all the participating parties, representatives of the Global Environment Facility, indigenous peoples and local communities, women and youth, and for their active preparation and cooperative spirit, which helped bring us to an amicable conclusion. Madam Chair, I want to now invite my co-chair, Inka, to do the second part of our report. Thank you.
Of course, China, thank you very much. I will now give the floor to Germany. Ms. Inka, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The contact group made substantial progress in advancing what is a technically complex and politically sensitive agenda item. On the behalf of the group, we are pleased to present the conference room paper 12 for consideration by this plenary. Paragraphs 1 to 11 have been negotiated, some still with brackets. Other paragraphs have taken up additions and edits and require necessary negotiations. We believe that this CRP provides a solid base for continuing discussions at COP17. Madam Chair, given how extensively we have reviewed the document this week and the need for further negotiations, we would suggest adopt the document as a whole, not to reopen the document in plenary. This will allow parties and major stakeholders to consider the whole document in preparation for Yerevan. Thanks a lot.
Thank you very much, Ms. Niti and Ms. Wang, for all of your work and, of course, all the delegates. I attended some of the meetings of the contact group and I could see all your work and, of course, the collaboration from all delegates. And given what has been explained by the co-chair, I would like to propose that we consider this CRP also as a whole. So, colleagues, can we approve the CRP as a whole? I see no objection. Thank you very much. CRP 12 is approved. Thank you very much. And we will produce an L document for this agenda item. Colleagues, we will proceed to the consideration of L docs, begin with L5. Thank you very much, colleagues. So let us take up the L5 on the clearinghouse mechanism and knowledge management. Let me remind you that we went through the draft recommendation paragraph by paragraph and approved the CRP. I hope that we can quickly adopt this L document. Interventions should focus only on ensuring that L documents are faithful to our approval. But also, I would like to ask you, since we put some brackets on paragraph 9, under the understanding that delegations would like to have more time to examine it, I would like to ask if there is any objection on removing brackets on paragraph 9. The European Union, you have the floor.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Chair. I'm speaking on behalf of the EU and its 27 member states. We are okay to remove some brackets. However, we would like to have also some changes in some bracketed text. Because C, there was a lot of text added, so we had a look at it, and we would like to propose the following changes in C. It starts with to prioritize work. We would like to propose to change prioritize to enhance, because we would not like to do micromanagement of the Secretariat. Then also in the second line, after artificial intelligence, and we would like to propose to add other relevant new technologies, and after technologies, there should be a comma. That is for paragraph C. And then in paragraph F, after capacity building, there should be and development. Thank you, Madam Co-Chair.
Thank you very much, European Union. Colleagues, okay, I ask the Secretariat to read the paragraphs as they stand now, as amended by the European Union. Secretariat, you have the floor.
So I'll read paragraph C. I think the capacity building and development is an easy change, more editorial. So for paragraph C, it now would read to enhance work related to interoperability and efficiency improvements resulting inter alia from the use of artificial intelligence and other relevant new technologies, comma, and then the paragraph continues as it was.
European Union. Yes, I think that it was to replace artificial intelligence by...
No, no.
Oh, no. Oh, it's okay. 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 Yes, you have the floor.
Okay, thank you, Madam Co-Chair. And sorry, there's so many sub-paragraphs, I missed out something, because under H, there's quite a lot of brackets around the whole small h, but also there's in brackets within the text. And as we mentioned during the CRP, that we would prefer to have a discussion with Kenya and maybe also some other countries between now and COP, because we cannot agree at the text as it is at this moment. So we would like to have your indulgence to see if we can keep some brackets up there, if possible. Thank you.
Thank you very much, European Union. We will keep all the brackets on H. That's what you're proposing. Okay. Okay, thank you very much. So with that, I would like to propose to lift the brackets from 9C with the amendments made by the European Union. Is there an objection to doing so? Russian Federation, you have the floor.
Thank you very much. We are very much in line, and thank you, the European Union, for proposing the changes. We would still like to have prioritize, while we are very happy with other to be added. So please keep prioritize in brackets, and then leave the bracket around the paragraph. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Russian Federation. We would so keep prioritize and enhance both in between brackets. And yes, and I see no more requests for the floor. So can we adopt this recommendation? I see no objections. So the CRP, oh, I'm sorry, the L document is adopted. Yes. Okay, colleagues, let's now move to L6 on communication, education, and public awareness. Thank you very much, colleagues. So I will first ask the Secretariat to please make some editorial amendment. Secretariat, you have the floor.
Thank you, Chair. There was an omission in the L document. I'd like to read out the correct language. In paragraph 9A, on the second line, it should read, to integrate education on biodiversity in national biodiversity strategies and action plans, open bracket, in a manner consistent with, closed bracket, open bracket, and closed bracket.
Thank you very much. Secretary, could you please read it again?
Thank you. Paragraph 9A should read, to integrate education on biodiversity in national biodiversity strategies and action plans, open bracket, in a manner consistent with, closed bracket, open bracket, and closed bracket.
Thank you very much, Secretariat. So, colleagues, let me remind you that we went through the draft recommendation paragraph by paragraph and approved the CRP. I hope that we can quickly adopt this document. And so, yes, European Union, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm speaking on behalf of the EU and its 27 member states. So we understand that some changes have been made to the agreed text as part of the editorial process, but we believe that in paragraph 7, one editorial change has also changed the meaning of the text that was agreed in plenary yesterday. This is as regards the language here in paragraph 7 that now reads, after implementation of the global plan of action, in order, comma, inter alia, comma, to meet, and then the sentence continues with the needs of developing countries. We therefore would like to refer this language back to the language that we had proposed initially and which was agreed yesterday in plenary, which would read after implementation of the global plan of action, comma, including in response to, and then the sentence would continue with the needs of developing countries. And if I also may come back to 9A, I assume also as part of the editing process, we noted that our insertion of where applicable had been moved to later into the paragraph. We had initially proposed this after national biodiversity strategies and action plans, and in the L document it has been moved after national and subnational educational plans. With this, the reinsertion of, in brackets, in a manner consistent with, we do believe that where applicable should be moved back to right after national biodiversity strategies and action plans, as was agreed in plenary yesterday. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you very much, European Union. I do recall your text. So, Russian Federation, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Chairperson. We'd like to add in this para 7 one word in the fourth line, the word draft, concerning the draft global plan of action. We think that there is missed this word draft. It's some editorial remark, if I'm not mistaken, when we speak about the para 7. And another issue would like to draw your attention, if it's possible, it's para 5, where we invite other governments to use and implement. To our mind, we prefer to use one word or to use or to implement. It means that in what manner the other government will use the draft global plan depends on the national circumstances. And implementation, to our opinion, is one of the manner or one of the way to use this the draft global plan of action for this issue. So we prefer to use only one word, to use, for our priority, or if not, it could be implement, but it should be one word, not two, to our opinion. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Russian Federation, and I'll give the floor to Peru. Peru, you have the floor.
Gracias. Thank you, Madam Chair. This has to do with para 7. We have in brackets in line 6, line 5, by providing dedicated and easily accessible. I recall that with the CRP, we asked to keep that text. So I would ask whether the parties who wanted to remove it, I'd like to ask them whether they can accept to remove the brackets and maintain this part of the text here. Thank you.
Yes, Peru, as I recall, the brackets remains, because even though you would like to have this text unbracketed, there were other parties that did not agree with that. That's why I think that the brackets reflect the discussion that we had here. And so, colleagues, I would like then to see if we could accept the change made by Russia on paragraph 5, or we should just bracket implement and implement. Yeah. Okay, so we'll bracket to use and bracket and implement within the brackets that are already there. Thank you very much. And regarding paragraph 7, I do recall that there was this including response to instead of what is right there in the paragraph, and of course we should refer it as the draft global plan of action. I asked the Secretariat to read the first lines so that we are all on board. Secretariat, you have the floor.
Thank you, Chair. This is paragraph 7. Invites parties, other governments, and, open brackets, actors other than national governments, closed brackets, open brackets, other relevant stakeholders, closed brackets, to consider providing adequate, predictable, and accessible technical and financial support for the development, uptake, and implementation of the draft Global Plan of Action in order, inter alia, to meet the needs of developing countries, in particular the least developed countries and small island developing states.
Thank you very much, Secretariat. From the intervention by the European Union, I think that we are reinserting their suggestion that was made yesterday. So it would read the draft Global Plan of Action, including in response to the needs of developing countries, and the paragraph then would be as it is. Can we? Yeah, I see no objection. Thank you very much, colleagues. So I would now ask the Secretariat to please read paragraph 9A as amended. Secretariat, you have the floor.
Thank you, Chair. Paragraph 9A would read, to integrate education on biodiversity in national biodiversity strategies and action plans, where applicable, in a manner consistent with in a manner consistent with national and education, sorry. In a manner consistent with national and subnational educational plans, where applicable and as appropriate, taking into consideration the outcomes of the first global review of collective progress in the implementation of the framework and building on existing education-related monitoring frameworks, including by considering formal, non-formal, and informal education programs and initiatives.
In a manner consistent with should be bracketed. And I think that, yeah, if you could please try it again.
Second time's the charm, as we say. 9A should read, to integrate education on biodiversity in national biodiversity strategies and action plans, where applicable, open bracket, in a manner consistent with, closed bracket, national and subnational education, open bracket and closed bracket, national and subnational educational plans, and as appropriate, taking into consideration the outcomes of the first global review of collective progress in the implementation of the framework and building on existing education-related monitoring frameworks, including by considering formal, non-formal, and informal education programs and initiatives.
Thank you very much. So I think that now second charm really is a charm. Thank you very much, Secretariat. And so, colleagues, can we adopt this recommendation with the changes that reflect the discussions yesterday? Yes, thank you very much. So L6 is adopted. Colleagues, I would like now to proceed to the adoption of L7. Yes. On agenda item number 10, capacity building and development and technical and scientific cooperation. So, colleagues, let us now take up L7 on capacity building and development and technical and scientific cooperation. Let me remind you that we went through this draft recommendation was subject to a contact group, and we approved the CRP. So I would hope that we can quickly adopt this our document. Interventions should focus only on ensuring that our documents are faithful to our approval, and delegations should avoid reopening agreed texts or introducing new issues at this stage. So, colleagues, can we adopt this recommendation? European Union, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm speaking on behalf of the European Union and its 27 member states. I would like, can agree with your proposal, but I would like to try to lift one bracket, if that's okay for you.
Because it's always okay.
We had a look at paragraph 26A, where we've got a bracket around including through joint scientific research. We would like to replace through by facilitating, because we are not sure that the TACCs can do that. If that's agreeable to all other parties, we can lift the brackets up there. So we would replace through by facilitating. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you very much, Reunion Brazil. Is this on the same issue? Okay, Brazil, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm taking the floor because this insertion was made by us, was proposed by Brazil. And I would like to say that we would be okay with substituting through with by facilitating. So we would be okay with the EU's proposal if that's agreeable to all other colleagues. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Brazil, Fiji, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Can we just have 1 minute, because the language on this, we need to just be very clear with our TSSC, and then we'll get back to you. Just 1 minute, please.
Yes, and meanwhile, I will give the floor to Colombia. Colombia, you have the floor.
Gracias, señora.
Thank you, Madam Chair. At this point, we'd like to keep it in brackets, this including through joint scientific research and technology development. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Colombia. So we would, I would like to suggest that at any rate, so that we don't miss what have been proposed here, we do substitute through by facilitating, and it remains on bracket, but at least there are more agreement around this text. Is that okay, Brazil? Yeah? Okay, thank you very much, colleagues. And so, considering that our latest discussions and the text remains almost the same, can we adopt this recommendation? I see no objection. Thank you very much, colleagues. L7 is adopted. Congrats. Okay, colleagues, I would like now to move to L9 on agenda item 4A, resource mobilization. Because it is available in all language, that's why I'm skipping L8 for the moment. Okay, colleagues, as you recall, we took this CRP to produce an L document as a whole, but there were some minor amendments since they were part of the text that were not reflected on the CRP, and I would like now to ask the Secretariat to explain how we dealt with it. So, Secretariat, please, you have the floor.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair, and good morning to delegates. Yeah, just to quickly mention, we reinserted the footnote that had been initially introduced by Fiji in brackets, so that can, of course, disappear if parties disagree eventually in negotiations. And then a couple of words on how we reinstated the request from the Maldives. You will recall when we teased out the amended elements to the original paragraphs B and C, we inserted a couple of new elements. That was namely, in that case, criteria F and H, and the Maldives felt that this subparagraph, that criterion H, would not fully reflect what they would like to see. And that is in connection to the provision of access to new, additional, and predictable and adequate financing in criterions F. So what we did, we inserted the phrase that you see now in the second half of that criterion, and the phrase is consisting of developing country parties, in particular least developed countries, etc., until the end. So this is the new insert to basically follow suit to the ask from the Maldives. And then, of course, the final change that we did, we bracketed everything, but cognizant of the point from the floor that we shouldn't really bracket the recommendation itself. The opening bracket you will find at the beginning of paragraph 4, introducing the draft decision. Thank you.
Thank you very much, the Secretariat. So is that clear, all the changes that we have made? And with that, I would like now to see if we can adopt this recommendation. Yes. I will give the floor to Saudi Arabia, followed by the European Union. Saudi Arabia, you have the floor.
شكرا سيدة الرئيسة. لقد استمعنا ليلة
Thank you, Madam Chair. Yesterday, we worked until late at night and we heard the discussion of CRP on item 4B on resource mobilization. And after long discussions and many requests, we asked for everyone to show flexibility, and we said that the document in its entirety would be in brackets. But now, after the publication of this L document, we see that it isn't contrary to what was decided. So we'd like the entire document to be placed in brackets. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Yes, Saudi Arabia, the whole document is bracketed. I understand that it starts, well, I will take more interventions from the floor, and then I will ask the Secretary to please explain to us, and of course, mentioning the relevant paragraphs and footnotes so that we are all very clear on what we're doing here. European Union, you have the floor.
Thank you very much. From our side, happy to proceed as you propose, Madam Chair. We have only found one misplaced square bracket. This is in paragraph 4 of the SBI decision, where we see a square bracket before point 4, and we think it should be after point 4. Thank you.
Thank you very much, European Union. Côte d'Ivoire, you have the floor.
Merci. Thank you, Madam Chair, for giving me the floor. Côte d'Ivoire notices that the document was not translated into French, so I wasn't able to fully understand it, so I would very much like to flag this. Côte d'Ivoire was not able to read the document in its working language. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Côte d'Ivoire, perhaps you should refresh your page because this document was available in the morning on French, on all languages. I think perhaps it's a matter of, yeah. Thank you very much. So I'll now give the floor to Qatar. Qatar, you have the floor.
شكرا سيدتي رئيسة.
Thank you, Madam Chair. My delegation appreciates the efforts made by the co-chairs and the Secretariat to prepare this document. However, we feel that paragraph 3 does not reflect all the consensus points and the disagreements between the delegations. The delegations have not been able to discuss the contentious points in detail. That is why our delegation would like paragraph 3 and its subparagraphs be in brackets until we can fully discuss it. Thank you.
Qatar, could you please clarify paragraph 3 is bracketed. What's the other paragraph that you would like to see bracketed?
Paragraph 3. الفقرة 3 وعناصرها الفرعية.
So, paragraph 3 and then the sub-paragraphs that need to be in brackets.
But there are no sub-paragraphs. Yeah. Qatar, apologies. We are having some trouble on locating your suggestions because paragraph 3 is bracketed and there are no sub-paragraphs.
فقط فقرة 3.
So, we've just paragraph 3 in brackets, please. Maybe there's been an update. In my document, there are no brackets around paragraph 3.
Okay, I'll park this. Perhaps we could check with Qatar. And China, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam Chair. First, we think the paragraph mentioned by Qatar is for the draft recommendation under the SBI. So that's at the very beginning of the third paragraph. So maybe I can help you to allocate the place. And then secondly, I think we would want to help with the confusion raised by Saudi Arabia and maybe also other parties. I think yesterday, Argentina rightly pointed out that actually we have different recommendations to SBI and to COP. And we believe the one in brackets are around the recommendation to COP. So maybe that's a confusion. So if Secretariat could help explain the difference of the two recommendations, maybe can help solve Saudi Arabia delegates' confusion. Thank you.
Thank you very much, China. I think I'll follow up on your suggestion before taking any more interventions for the floor because I see that the list is really increasing right now. Secretariat, could you please explain to us?
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. So indeed, it was pointed out by Argentina that if you bracket the whole text, there would actually be no recommendation coming from SBI-7 to COP17. So the understanding was that the brackets should actually go around the paragraphs that provide the draft decision to COP17, but keep the operational paragraphs as part that are part of the SBI recommendation intact. So that's why we put these brackets from paragraph 4 onwards until the very end of the document. Paragraph 4 is basically the chapeau paragraph introducing the draft decision for consideration by COP17. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Secretariat. Jordan, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Maybe after the clarification from Secretariat, now everything is clear, because we find it is without brackets like what Saudi Arabia said. So now I think that's clear. So that's very fine with us. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Jordan. Russian Federation, you have the floor.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. We are supporting your proposal and others who are in line with you and suggesting to put the recommendation in brackets. And we think that we need to have this decision of the subsidiary body. And with regard to paragraph 3, if it was a proposal to put it in brackets in SBI part, we would recall our discussions at the contact group and the agreement that this information has to be included in the SBI decision, because in this way we would make sure that we come back to this discussion at the COP. So we would like, as yesterday, to call, urge, and so on colleagues to agree on the bracketed text and keep the SBI part clean without brackets. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you very much, Russian Federation. I'll now give the floor to Yemen. Yemen, you have the floor.
شكرا سيدتي الرئيسة.
Thank you, Madam Chair. My delegation supports the statement made by Jordan, Saudi Arabia, and Qatar. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Yemen. So Costa Rica, you have the floor.
Gracias. Thank you, Chair. Good morning, digital colleagues. Well, indeed, we'd like to reflect what other delegations said on para 3 on the subsidiary body section. We agree that we all appreciate greatly the work carried out by the co-facilitators, and it would be a shame if the issues that we discuss are not presented before COP. Thank you. Or the findings are not discussed before COP. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Costa Rica. I'll now give the floor to Japan. Japan, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam Chair. As for this paragraph 3 of SBI recommendation, we of course discussed this list at the Friends group. And my understanding is that this list has not been completed yet. That is why we are asking the Secretariat to make it available. This has nothing to do with the content of the list itself. For this reason, we keep this paragraph. This should not be bracketed. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Japan, and thank you very much, colleagues. So with those explanations, I understand that we should keep the subsidiary, the first part from paragraph 1 to, and now I really have a doubt if 4 should be bracketed or the bracket should begin in the recalling article of the parties. Yes, that's my only doubt. Secretariat, could you please enlighten us on this part?
Well, I mean, we're basically just trying to best reflect the demands from the floor, and in that particular case from Saudi Arabia and from Qatar. My understanding was that they have difficulty with the draft decision as a whole, as it stands. So in that case, of course, you could, you could in principle start with recalling, which is the actual text of the draft decision, but then it would leave as an option open that you basically have the chapeau text recommends, etc., and then you have nothing underneath. So we found it actually more logical to start with paragraph 4 in the chapeau paragraph. But text-wise, in terms of bracketing the text, it works, both alternatives work. Thank you.
Yes, so I would like to propose that we do start our bracket text for our recommendation to the Conference of the Parties in the first preamble paragraph, so recalling Article 20 of the Convention on Biological Diversity. And I'll explain why I'm agreeing with the suggestion made by the European Union. It's because we are making a recommendation, but of course this recommendation is between brackets. So, but I think that the recommendation should stand as it is. So we do have the first part without brackets, and then the whole content that was discussed during the contact group regarding the decision to be taken by COP is between brackets. That was my understanding of our talk yesterday, of our agreement yesterday, and that is what I would like to submit to you all and ask if we can adopt this recommendation. I see, yes, Saudi Arabia, you have the floor.
شكرا سيدة الرئيسة. نحن نقدر
Thank you, Chair. Welcome the countries from, or the views from other countries. All we're asking is to apply what's been agreed on yesterday. That is, place the entire document in brackets. Now on the recommendation or paragraph 3, this is an item which we don't have consensus on. Now is not the time to discuss issues of contention or to go into great detail. Therefore, it's impossible to keep this paragraph without brackets. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much. Saudi Arabia, Brazil, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam Chair, for giving us the floor. Firstly, we would like to agree to the proposal of starting the brackets in recalling, because as a group, we did not agree to not recommend anything to the COP, and also we did not agree that we should not have a decision on this agenda item. So we believe, even though all the text is bracketed, the paragraph 4 of the SBI decision should not have brackets. In terms of paragraph 3, we do understand the positions that have been raised in the room. However, we would like to highlight that we are talking about a non-exhaustive list of areas of convergence and divergence that have been raised during the Friends of the Co-Chair group. So we would seek some flexibility and ask parties to allow us to approve these 4 paragraphs as a decision of the SBI, taking into account that the whole content of the COP decision is bracketed. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Brazil. Zimbabwe, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and we appreciate the comments and sentiments expressed by our colleagues with regards to bracketing this entire document. I think it would be very unfair and a bit sad, Madam Chair, if SBI fails to send some recommendation that will guide our progressive engagements on the subject matter. Therefore, we align ourselves with the sentiments already expressed by Brazil on this, that we need to send a clean para 4 to COP instead of bracketing, including those elements that we had consensus on. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Zimbabwe. I see lots of requests for the floor. I would like to ask our legal officer to please explain what is being proposed here. But at any rate, I would like also to make a proposal so that we can leave the SBI first part, the recommendation to the COP, the first 4 paragraphs without brackets. And I think that the main problem is related to paragraph 3. And I would like to propose as a compromise that we mention that the list of areas of convergence and divergence is a draft, non-exhaustive list. So we are pretty clear that this is not the final version. We don't have lots of agreement around it. And so we can move on. That would be my suggestion to Saudi Arabia. But at any rate, I will ask the Secretariat legal officer to please enlighten us also on procedure here. Ms. Inonja, you have the floor.
Thank you, Chair, and good morning to all the delegates. So on the square brackets, so for the recommendations to the Secretariat, which are coming from SBI, of course, those ones would need to be agreed to by this meeting. So they cannot be in square brackets, so the text would need to be agreed. And then for the recommendations that are going to the Conference of the Parties, as stated by a number of delegations, if you look at paragraph 4, of course, SPI agreed that they would send a recommendation to the Conference of the Parties, but I think the question is on the content. So in terms of procedure and how the brackets should be placed, it means that 4 would be clean because the subsidiary body would like to send a recommendation. And then, of course, the Conference of the Parties would be clean as well. Then the square bracket then would start from recalling, if that is the wish, that what is the contents of the recommendation should be in square brackets. So I think it was just to clarify that 4 needs to be clean as well if the subsidiary body is to send a recommendation to the COP. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you very much, Ms. Inonja. I will give the floor to Fiji, followed by China. Fiji.
Thank you, Madam Co-Chair. Just very briefly, and thanks for the explanation from the legal team. We join many others that have spoken before us in reiterating our support for your approach, particularly, Madam Chair, noting that it would be procedurally, it will be a procedural paralysis if we are not able to send the SBI recommendations to the COP. And we have been here for multiple days in rooms for multiple long hours and with stretched delegations as well. And I think it's really important for us to recognize as parties and as delegations that the first 4 paragraphs would be going to COP without any brackets as explained by legal. We do not see the added value of adding the word draft, Madam Chair, in terms of para 3, but if this makes other delegations comfortable to send, because we do note that in this para it says that to make available to the Conference of Party meeting the non-exhaustive list of convergence and divergence, which already hints that we are not in agreement on many of the issues. And in light of that, we also say in the subsequent paragraph that the Friends of the Co-Chair on resource mobilization, so and so. And so, yeah, I seek again clarity if draft would solve this issue for some parties. We are happy, we are flexible to go with that. But if it is a remedy that's going to even cause more confusion or ambiguity, then I would suggest that we will add an additional bracket in front of recalling when we start with the Conference of Parting header, and then a closed bracket at the end, which is what my understanding is of the way forward. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Fiji. I'll give the floor to China. China, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam Chair, for giving me the floor again. We think the first 4 paragraphs are very important, which we don't think there's need to change it. But of course, if the compromise solution works for all, we can also support it. We just want to point it out that actually, even though we have no consensus for the recommendation to COP, but the divergence itself means a lot. So it's not only to say only the message without brackets can tell a thing, but all the discussion within the brackets can indicate COP17 where we have disputes, where we have divergences. That's why we think it's very important to make the first 4 paragraphs out of brackets, because without that, it means SBI didn't recommend anything to Jeff, including all the divergences. So we kindly suggest other parties to reconsider their proposal, because if we really put all the paragraphs into brackets, we will lose the very meaningful information about divergences. Thank you.
Thank you very much, China. I will give the floor to Cote d'Ivoire, followed by Switzerland, and then I will get back to the parties that would like to bracket the first 4 paragraphs. So, Cote d'Ivoire, you have the floor.
Merci beaucoup, Madame.
Thank you, Chair, for giving me the floor. Well, I would say that China's taken the words out of my mouth, because that's exactly what I wanted to say. We spent hours, days, and we need to really make the most of all of that. That's why I was saying that after the explanations from the legal team and after everything that's been said, there are elements that we need to keep. There are recommendations to be made. So if I was still in my country, this is what I would say, and I would plead with my colleagues to help us move forwards. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Cote d'Ivoire. Switzerland. Switzerland, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And similar to Brazil, China, Fiji, and also Cote d'Ivoire and others, we support to have paragraph 4 clean and start the brackets at recalling. So with this, we can have further discussions at COP. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Switzerland. So I will ask again if we can adopt this L document and with the change made that the paragraph, the bracket that is right now on paragraph 4 would be on recalling. Is that acceptable to all? Is there any objection? And then, yes, Saudi Arabia, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam Chair. We appreciate all efforts to prepare this document and we respect all positions expressed, but we insist we do not accept the document in its current format for the reasons explained. Thank you.
Yes, Saudi Arabia and Qatar. I would like to ask, is my suggestion to put the draft non-exhaustive list of areas of convergence and divergence, would it help us? Because then we are saying that it is a draft, we have some discussions, there is no agreement, complete agreement around this list. So if we make this change, could we please proceed as we have agreed yesterday so that we have the recommendation to COP between brackets? Saudi Arabia, you have the floor.
We prefer to bracket this paragraph 3 as a whole.
Okay, so I would like now to propose another way of trying to move forward. I would suggest that we park the consideration of this L document right now, and we convene a small group with all the interested parties. And I understand that especially Saudi Arabia, Qatar, Brazil, China, Russian Federation, Switzerland, Costa Rica, and all Fiji, and the European Union, and all the others that would like to discuss this. And that would be my proposal. Costa Rica, you have the floor.
Gracias nuevamente.
Thank you once again, Chair. I think it's very important to take into account that although we have substantive divergences on review of the list, we were also clear that we can accept different options. We need to remind ourselves that this document also has fundamental operative elements which don't have anything related to that discussion, a mandate to review the effectiveness of the GBFF, criteria for governance of Article 21, technical studies which are essential for RIA markers, and others. So I think we are being quite flexible in placing all this in brackets. So once again, we call on the flexibility of other delegations so that we can move forwards with our mandate to the Congress of the Parties. Thank you.
Yes, thank you very much, Costa Rica, guys, colleagues. I would like now to just park the consideration of this document, and I would suggest that people could please meet and talk about it. Fiji, you want the floor? Okay, Fiji, you have the floor.
Madam Chair, sorry, I seek your indulgence and guidance. Fiji proposes that we take a 10-minute pause, and if we can just ask the parties to meet at the back of the room so that we can just discuss this quickly, because I think there is a misunderstanding on the procedure. And if we can clarify this along with the group, come back, because I don't think so we need to delay this any further. We have spent hours discussing this. Hours yesterday discussing this again on this process and how we had managed this. So can I please ask you and your guidance if we can take 10 minutes? I'm happy to facilitate this discussion just very quickly. We need to close this discussion so that we can consider other items that are yet to be discussed. Thank you.
Okay, Fiji, your suggestion is accepted. So I would park the consideration of the ZEL document pending on the informal discussions to be held in the back of the room. Thank you very much, colleagues. And please bring back a solution. And we take a break for the time being of 10 minutes. Thank you. Colleagues, please take your seats. Yes, thank you very much, colleagues. I would like to ask the delegate from Fiji to please report back on the result of the negotiations, the parallel huddle. Fiji, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Allow me to first start by thanking your flexibility in accommodating 10 minutes to have this small huddle to discuss an issue that is important to all of us. We heard from different parties, their concerns. We also heard as a collective that there were recommendations yesterday to include in the report of this meeting the concerns regarding not being able to reach full consensus. And in the spirit of compromise, all parties came to the suggestion that to leave brackets in the entirety of paragraph 1 to 4, the distinguished delegates of Saudi Arabia and Qatar would like reflected a wording as suggested in their statements to be included at the end of paragraph 3. And I read in dictation speed, after the subsidiary body on implementation, comma, noting that due to limited time available, there was no opportunity to reach consensus, full stop, or semicolon. So with this inclusion, we have reached collective agreement that the brackets would be lifted in the entirety of paragraph 1 to 4, and the new opening bracket would start in front of recalling after the title, the Conference of Parties, with a closing bracket at the end of the document. Thank you.
Yes, Fiji, please, could you repeat the insertion on the end, at the end of paragraph 3?
Madam Chair, it reads, comma, after implementation, comma, noting that due to limited time available, there was no opportunity to reach consensus. I also seek the indulgence of all parties so that you, Madam Chair, are able to close this today, now.
Yes, I think that you helped us during that. Thank you very much, Fiji. So, colleagues, with the amendment made by paragraph 3 of the first part of this L document, can we adopt L9? Yes, thank you. Thank you very much for flexibility. And so L9 is adopted. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I would like now to go back to L8 on mainstreaming biodiversity. Thank you very much, colleagues. So let's now move to L8 on agenda item number 12, mainstreaming of biodiversity within and across sectors. And first, I would like to ask the Secretariat to please refer to some amendments in the text. So, Secretariat, you have the floor.
Thank you, Chair. During your consideration of this paragraph, a party proposed replacing the reference to a whole of government and whole of society with within and across sectors in the preambular paragraph number 1. Another party subsequently requested the Secretariat to verify the language and confirm that the text in preambular paragraph directly reflects the text in Decision 1613. The Secretariat has since clarified this with the party that proposed substitution. So the Secretariat would recommend and propose that we revert to the text of preambular paragraph 1 as presented in CRP 6.
Yes, and I will ask the Secretariat to read so that we are on the same page.
The language in CRP 6 proposed. Recalling its decision 1613 of 1st of November 2024, in which it reiterated the critical importance of mainstreaming biodiversity across the whole of government and the whole of society, and recognized that the Kunming-Montreal Global Biodiversity Framework captured biodiversity mainstreaming and provided a wide range of options of mainstreaming biodiversity.
Okay, and then this would replace the first preamble paragraph. So, colleagues, with this amendment, could we adopt L8? Peru, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam Chair. We had made an addition in the text of paragraph 6, subpara A, Roman numeral 4. And we agreed that the previous text and the text that we included would be bracketed. And there is no bracket here. At the end of Roman numeral 4. I can read it out.
The uptake of nature-related opportunities. Eso iba a estar en brackets.
That should be in brackets because we had agreed nature-based solutions and/or ecosystem-based approaches, and that was also going to be bracketed.
Okay, so we'll bracket both texts at the end of...
Apologies, Chair. As two different alternatives. The first is bracketing nature-related opportunities, and then also bracketing nature-based solutions and/or ecosystem-based approaches, removing the word "and" between the two.
Yes, thank you very much, Peru. I understand that we have to also bracket "and." It depends on the, I understand that you want the two to be alternatives, and I think that we can bracket encouraging, so open bracket, the uptake of nature-related opportunities, bracket, close bracket, and open bracket, and nature-based solutions and or systems-based approaches to increase positive impacts. And of course, the end will go away depending on our decisions during COP. But we should not really delete to end right now. So is there any more interventions? I see none. Thank you very much, colleagues. So can we adopt this L document? I see no objections. Thank you. And thus L8 is adopted. Thank you. I would like now to move to L11 on agenda item 4B, the financial mechanism. So, colleagues, we have gone through discussions on agenda item 4B during contact group, and of course we approved the CRP. And I would like now to submit for adoption L11. Is there any objection? Can we adopt this L document? Maldives, you have the floor.
Thank you, Chair. This is not an objection. Actually, this is to remove a bracket that we inserted, and if it will be helpful. So we want to remove the bracket around 12 in 12A, the meaningful engagement. There's a bracket we put, so we have now consulted, and we are happy to remove that bracket. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Maldives. Does any other delegation would like to lift brackets? Okay, colleagues, can we adopt the this L document as amended by the Maldives? I see, yes, so L11 is adopted. Thank you very much. Okay, colleagues, we do have L10. It's available in 5 languages. I would like to submit L10 for adoption if there is no objection. Can we proceed? And now it's all the 6 languages. So can we adopt this L document? Thank you very much, colleagues. I see no objection, so L10 is adopted. So, colleagues, I would like now to adjourn this meeting, and under the understanding that please be very attentive to the monitors so that we can resume our plenary as soon as possible. And well, have a very good lunch and thank you for collaborations. We are really progressing here. Thank you.